The PlayStation Store's holiday sale week 1 is underway. We already went over 15 great deals under the price of $5, but of course you guys wanted to see more great deals and we're gonna unlimit our budget in this video. However, we don't have any games mentioned over the price of $20, so still some great deals for you guys on a relatively low budget. And without further ado, let's get right into it. We have 10 deals to go over. First up, Bloodborne the Complete Edition bundle is 65% off for $12.24. This includes Bloodborne the base game as well as the Old Hunters DLC expansion. Now, Bloodborne was always a very easy recommendation at any price, but given the fact that it was a PlayStation Plus title back in March, now I do seemingly value Bloodborne a little bit lower. However, it's still an incredible game. Many would say that this is From Software's best title, and to get the game and the DLC for just $12 and change, that's a great deal. The DLC actually adds a relatively large amount of content as well, so that's going to enhance the Bloodborne experience even more, and the game itself, I touted it being the first true system seller for the PlayStation 4. At this point, I probably would still put it among the top 5 or even top 3 PlayStation 4 exclusive that's ever been released, so if you haven't checked out the game yet, it's a little bit older at this point, being released back in 2015, but you should definitely go back and give it a look. Next up, we have Batman The Return to Arkham Collection for $7.99. Of course, this includes Batman Arkham Asylum as well as Batman Arkham City. Two games that I did think were both better than Batman Arkham Knight, but the Arkham trilogy in totality was a very good set of games, and Arkham Asylum was a terrific game, but in my opinion, Arkham City was the best title in the entire franchise. But both are great games, and best of all, with the Return to Arkham Collection, they look and play better than ever, and best of all, right now, you're getting it for $7.99. That means you're essentially paying $4 for each title. That is a terrific deal, and they do offer a relatively decent amount of content. We're talking 12 to 14 hours to complete the single player on each of them, and then you do have additional optional content as well, so for $8 this is a really good buy. Next up, we have Dying Light, which doesn't have a significant discount. It's only 30% off, but even still 30% off knocks it down to $13.99, and Dying Light is such a good game that I still want to give it a recommendation. Unfortunately, Dying Light the Following Enhanced Edition is not on sale, so you'll have to settle with the base game, but $14 for the first Dying Light is still really great. It's not a game that's gonna get you all scared or anything like that, but it's got some great parkour gameplay. The combat is solid, the story is pretty good, and the visuals are of course exceptional, and we are coming up on the release of Dying Light 2 in 2019. Now would not be a bad time to check out the first title, and it's a very good game in its own right. I'm sure the second game will outpace it when that's released in 2019, but this was still one of the great games early this generation, released all the way back in early 2015, so a title that a lot of you may have not checked out if you did get your PS4 more recently, but you should definitely go back and give it a look, especially at this price. Next up, we have Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reload. That's 50% off for $19.99. I've talked so highly about the Danganronpa games, and they are so zany and a little bit hard to sell to you guys that have never played the titles, and you're coming into it not knowing what to expect. Essentially what it is, it's a murder mystery visual novel with some light gameplay aspects. The premise of the story is you play as a high school student, and you along with a bunch of your classmates are locked into a high school and forced to play a death game. Yes, on the surface, that just sounds like a stupid Japanese storyline, but I'm telling you guys, spend 45 minutes with the first Danganronpa title and you will be absolutely absorbed into the experience. It grips you really, really quickly, and then once you get into the game, you're getting into a story with a bunch of twists and turns and a lengthy story as well. It's going to take you around 20-25 hours to complete each of these games, and in my eyes, Danganronpa 2 was an even better game than the first title. Danganronpa did have a third game, of course, V3 Killing Harmony. That's on sale as well, but it's at a pretty high price point, so if you're just getting into it, start off with the Reload collection. These two games are directly connected, so a great place to get started. $20 might be a little pricey, but you are getting two games, and again, they are relatively lengthy, so absolutely worth the price. Moving on from that, Grand Theft Auto 5 is 50% off to $14.99, and this is the best price Grand Theft Auto 5 has ever been at. Of course, for a very long time, it was at its retail price of $59.99, then the MSRP was docked down to $29.99, and when the game would go on sale, it would be around 33% off, so it would be $19 and change, but Rockstar finally bit the bullet and gave it a 50% off label, so for $14.99, GTA 5 is a no-brainer. I mean, this is an easy game to recommend at its full $59.99 price point, but given the fact that the original game at this point is over 5 years old, the PS4 version is over 4 years old, we should not be paying $59.99 for it. Paying 25% of that initial price at $15 is a great buy, and of course, this game is packed with content, and just the single player alone is going to keep you busy for a very long time, but then you also have the online mode to get invested into. The online isn't perfect, but there definitely is a worthwhile experience there as well, and $15 for all of that, that's definitely worth a recommendation. Moving on from that, I've got another recommendation of an early PlayStation 4 exclusive. Infamous Second Son is 50% off for $9.99. This did recently just become a PlayStation Hits title, so its regular price is $19.99. Infamous Second Son, in all honesty, to me was a little bit of a disappointment. That's because I played Infamous and Infamous 2 on the PlayStation 3, loved those games, thought they were two of the best PlayStation 3 exclusives ever released, and that says a lot. Infamous Second Son, my anticipation and expectations were so high going into it that even if it was a really great game, it probably would have disappointed me personally a little bit. But I think the majority of Infamous fans would agree that Second Son is the weakest of the three games. It's still really good. The open world is exceptional. The visuals are tremendous. The only issue really comes from a gameplay and content standpoint. The story ends rather quickly. I didn't find it all too satisfying from a storytelling standpoint, unlike the first two Infamous titles, and the gameplay does get a little bit repetitive at times. Overall, though, I would say that Infamous Second Son is worth a buy. It's a game you should check out, and now at $9.99, it's going to offer you a quality experience for the price. Moving on from that, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Definitive Experience is 33% off for $13.39. Don't get tricked into buying Metal Gear Solid 5 the base game because it's at the same price. The Definitive Experience will offer you Ground Zeroes as well as a bunch of other downloadable content with it. Of course, Metal Gear Solid 5 was one of the most controversial games of this generation. It's been well publicized of what went down between Hideo Kojima and Konami, and at this point in 2018, there's really no point in revisiting that. What there is a point of is revisiting Metal Gear Solid 5 or visiting it for the first time, even for those of you that have never played a Metal Gear title in the past, because Metal Gear Solid 5 acts as a very accessible game to newcomers of the franchise just because of its different style of presentation. That's something that turns some gamers off. It doesn't have the long, extravagant cutscenes of a Metal Gear Solid 4. Rather, the majority of the story is told through cassette tapes, but there's definitely a story here and a story with some depth. And of course, from a gameplay standpoint, this game is loaded. Just from the main story, you're going to spend a lot of time, but the content really comes into full effect once you take advantage of all of the side ops, and then you're potentially talking north of 100 hours of gameplay, and $13.39 for all of that, that's a no-brainer. Great deal on MGS5 The Definitive Experience. Moving on from that, Middle-earth Shadow of War is 75% off, down to just $12.49. This is a great deal on Shadow of War, and it is available a little bit cheaper if you do get it physically. I've seen it available for $10, which is so surprising because this game just released back at the end of 2017. It's not all too old, and for a game to get this cheap this quickly, you would think it points to it being a bad game, but Shadow of War is not a bad game at all. Yes, it did have some issues with its microtransactions, but that's been remedied. They've removed all of that, and what you'll find in Shadow of War is a game that really builds upon Shadow of Mordor, and it becomes a better experience. The world is bigger, there's more depth to the gameplay, there's a lot of quality content here in Shadow of War, and if you were put off by it for whatever reason, now is the time to check it out. And by the way, there is a free demo available, so that's something to check out if you're not even sold by this $12.49 price point. Next up, we have Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration. That is 80% off for $11.99. Now, Tomb Raider as a franchise is a little bit recognizable right now, especially after the release of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but that game is still regularly going for at least like $29.99, so if you want the cheaper game, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration for $11.99 is very good. I would say that I personally think Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a better game, especially from a gameplay standpoint. It has more content, but Rise of the Tomb Raider still offers you a rather enjoyable experience. These Tomb Raider games are fairly short, so that's something to bear in mind. If you speed run through it, you can complete these games in like 6 to 7 hours, but there is additional content to get invested into, and this 20-year celebration edition does have some extra content as well. Even has some VR content, and after all, you're not paying the full $59.99 at $11.99. This is well worth it. And lastly, I definitely want to give a mention to Wipeout the Omega Collection. That is 70% off for just $5.99. This is a ridiculous deal for Wipeout Omega Collection. Released about 18 months ago, this includes Wipeout HD, Wipeout HD Fury, as well as Wipeout 2048, all enhanced for the PlayStation 4. And Wipeout in its own right is a very enjoyable arcade racer that unfortunately really hasn't garnered immense commercial success. Critical success is there, people that play these games love them, but it doesn't seem to be all too recognizable of a franchise, which is unfortunate. But if you just want a fun, futuristic arcade racer, Wipeout will absolutely have you covered on that, and there's a sizable amount of content, different kinds of ships to ride, easily worth the recommendation of the initial $39.99 price point, but now just for $5.99, this is one of the better PlayStation 4 exclusives that hasn't garnered a lot of notoriety. So that's going to conclude this video. Again, a lot of great deals available as a part of PlayStation Store's holiday sale week 1. More great deals will be coming in week 2, and there are a ton more great deals available outside of the deals we've already mentioned, and we've gone over 25 deals. So have a look at the PlayStation Store for yourself, because there are a lot of great deals to take advantage of. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.